In today's video, we're going to be talking about sedans. This video is going to help you out if you're looking to purchase a new car. However, a quick disclaimer, I filmed this video almost 3 months ago and already the market has changed so much that none of my numbers on pricing are accurate. So keep that in mind. However, I do just want to say that if you're looking for a good, reliable sedan that's going to be good on gas mileage and last you a really long time, then these are still my top choices. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Welcome back to the channel and to my kitchen again. I know you guys love these indoor kitchen videos, but today I'm going to try not to just blabber on about nonsensical stuff. In fact, today I have a very important video for you guys, one that you are not going to want to skip over, especially if you're looking for a new car. Now, I also want to caution you, please take everything that I say in this video with a grain of salt. Right now, the market is changing so fast that by the time you watch this information might not even be current or accurate anymore. In fact, the research that I did here, I've been kind of compiling it over the last couple of months. And even since I started this research, prices have started to come up. And so some of this might not be all that accurate. But let's say that you're in the situation that my brother-in-law was in a little bit ago, looking for a car for around $10,000 or under, and you're planning on keeping it for 5 to 10 years. It's also 2021 and the market is like nuts right now. Like, holy smokes, you can't even buy a cheap car anymore. So you're gonna have to settle. You're either gonna have to go a little older or you're gonna have to go a little newer with more miles. And I feel like up to 120,000 miles maybe is what you want to try to be buying right now, especially if you're planning on keeping the car for the next 5 to 10 years, because you could go out and you could buy a really nice like 2019 with like 300,000 miles on it somehow for cheap, like under 10 grand. But that may not be the best decision if you're planning on keeping it for a while. So from my personal experience and my personal research and hours of cruising the internet and gathering actual for sale data, mostly from KSL.com. So if you're in the Midwest and you have access to like Utah, the Salt Lake area, this information is going to be pretty dang accurate. But I will say with a disclaimer, I am in no way an expert on this or suggesting that you buy a car from this list, and if you get it and you end up hating it, that's still going to be your fault, because with any major purchase like this, especially a vehicle purchase, you yourself should be doing a ton of research on it, especially if you find a vehicle that you think you like. Get the laptop out, go to Google, say, why shouldn't I buy this car? Look up actual consumer data. What are the problems that it has? What can I expect? What mileage can I expect it to happen? Look at reviews, see how comfortable it is. Go test drive them. My list here is just to get you started. I in no way want you to just say, oh, well, he said go out and buy a Camry, and I'm gonna go get a Camry and I'm gonna hate my life, because there's pros and cons to every car. Most of the sedans that I have on this list are the more reliable ones, and quite honestly, it's 2021. Like, even some of the older cars right now are pretty dang comfortable and pretty good drivers. So let's go ahead and kick this video off. So my list is actually titled Sedans 2013 and up under $10,000 with less than 120,000 miles that you can buy today. So the first sedan that falls in that price range of $10,000 is 2013 to 2015. If you're trying to go any newer than 2015, you're going to have to pay more than $10,000 for a Toyota Camry or Corolla. I love this option because it is still one of the most reliable cars in the entire world. I think there's like 2 years that you want to avoid, or 3. It's like 07 to 09, avoid those ones because they're less reliable than than the rest of them. But the Toyota Camry and Corolla comes with decent fuel economy. Of course, you can get it in an inline 4, or you can get it with the 3.5 V6 that produces 268 horsepower and 248 foot-pounds of torque. So these are not like my old 95 Camry. They're not grandma cars anymore. They're kind of peppy, and they're actually really comfortable and really nice on the inside. And in terms of overall market, they may be a little bit more basic, but according to experts, the 2016 Camry is one of the best years of all time ever produced. And in my research, I found several examples of these Toyota Camrys and Corollas for under $10,000 with way under 100,000 miles. And of course, a good way to save money when buying any sedan or used car could be to get salvage title. Anymore, we salvage title cars for any little thing, and I'll have to do a video talking about that in the future. But if you're looking at a salvage title car, please do your research on them before you buy them. Especially don't listen to what I just said, because it could get you into trouble if you don't know what you're looking for. So, Toyota Camry or Corolla 2013, 2015 is probably at the top of my list, because in terms of reliability and a really good value for your money purchase, it's probably the best car on the market today. My second option car on my list, my second favorite, my actual favorite of all time, you just can't go as new because they're more expensive, is the 2013 to 14 Honda Accord. Now, if you buy one of these for 10 grand, you're going to have to stay within the 13-14 range, and you're going to have to jack up the miles a little bit. You're probably looking at just over 100,000, 110,000, somewhere in there. I like the styling of the Accord so much better than the Camry and Corolla. Honda's done a really good job at actually making their cars modern and modern looking, and this still arguably is the most reliable car in the entire world. Of course, you should avoid the 03 and the 08 model years because, like I said with the Camry, they're just less reliable, which Honda's less reliable cars still come out to be more reliable than the average car. So, you know, you won't find a car that's more reliable than the Honda Accord. While the Honda Accord comes with an inline 4-cylinder, their V6 3.5 produces 278 horsepower, 252 foot-pounds of torque, and that is more power and torque than the Toyota Camry or Corolla, and they get better fuel economy. You're looking at like 34 miles to gallon on the highway when you drive them right. Of course, both of those cars have a safety rating of 5 out of 5 stars. So very, very good cars. I'll put some pictures up of their fuel economy and differences right here. But I use the EPA mileage estimator from actual owner and owner data so that we don't have to guess and see if the manufacturer lied to us or not. Going along the lines with the Honda Accord, you can actually afford a 2013 to 2015 Honda Civic with a little bit less miles on it than that. You should be able to find one with well under 100,000 miles within the $10,000 price range, but you have to understand the Civic's a lot smaller, and they do not come with a V6 option in those price ranges. It's Honda's compact commuter, so it still is a sedan, but it's compact. Of course, that comes with great fuel economy, like super good fuel economy, and Honda reliability. So if you're okay with a compact car, you might consider a Honda Civic if you can't afford the Accord either, or if you don't want something with as many miles on it for $10,000. All right, the next car on our list, you can get something that's a lot newer, that's still within your $10,000 budget, and that is the 2013 to 2017 Nissan Altima. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy around the Nissan CVT, but don't even worry about it. If you're maintaining it, it's not going to give you any trouble. But if it does, it's a very expensive fix. But I do want to say that Nissan's been making the CVT since 2006, and my Nissan Murano has over 200,000 miles on it. So if properly maintained, I wouldn't really worry about the CVT. Go out and do your own research on that though. The Nissan Altima overall is still a super reliable car. I'm a huge fan of Nissan products, but just know that while it is a cheap car to run long term, it's going to be somewhat less reliable than Toyota or Honda's brand. It does have a 3.5 liter V6 or a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder. Both of them get, you know, overall really good gas mileage. Of course, the i4 is going to get amazing gas mileage, but the 3.5 V6 produces 270 horsepower at 252 foot-pounds of torque. The Honda Accord just being slightly more powerful, but you won't really notice a difference because their torque figures are just about the same. What is different about them is the CVT transmission versus, you know, Honda's transmission. So, which I believe the new Accords come with the CVT. I'm not really sure, don't quote me on that, go out and do your own research. Now, I do have to say with the Altima, you have a much higher chance at getting a newer car with much lower mileage than if you bought a Camry or a Honda Accord. But I do have to say that the 2013 model year of the Nissan Altima was, I have to read this, awarded the Avoid Like the Plague badge by experts as the overall worst model year during 2013 due to major issues with the CVT automatic transmission, electronics, and the body integrity. That particular car was recalled over 11 times. So I don't want to scare you out of the Nissan Altima. I think it's a very good car. I would buy one, but don't buy a 2013. Do not, under any circumstances, ever buy a Nissan product from 2013, especially if it has the CVT transmission in it. And like I said, you're looking at like anywhere from 50 to 80,000 miles for under 10K within those year ranges. So very good car to buy if you want something new. Maybe you're only keeping it for 3 or 4 years or 5 years. Nissan Altima is a really good option. Okay, it kind of pains me to put this one on the list because I'm not a huge fan of this particular brand, but I have owned one in the past and I personally would buy one of these cars. I just wouldn't keep it all that long. But for under $10,000, under 120,000 miles, honestly probably under 100,000, like even 40, I see one on here that was 47,000 miles for under 10K. This would be the 2013 to 2017 Hyundai Sonata. Particularly, I think this is a really cool car on the interior. I love their interiors. Their exteriors are pretty classy, but they kind of do some shoddy body work on them. Hyundai's reliability, while a lot of you are going to disagree with me, tell me why you disagree with me in the comments below, but Hyundai's reliability is super comparable to Nissan's reliability. While less than the Honda Accord or Toyota Camry, it still has better than average reliability overall. The Sonata, however, is still known for being built on a very sturdy frame, so it's gonna be a little bit heavier than the other cars. And I do just want to point out, model years 2011 to 2015 received the most complaints from owners out of all the Sonata models ever produced, but experts say that the 2014 is the best to buy out of all of those years, and it's best to entirely avoid 2011 to 2012. So if you're going to go the Hyundai route, know that it's a pretty good car brand. Its reliability is somewhat comparable to that of Nissan, perhaps just a little bit less for all you haters that I can see you typing away in the comments there. And if you're going to buy one, just get one that's 2016 or newer, and you'll avoid kind of all the problems that they had. I know they had some problem in like 11 to 12 where the engines would just seize up and quit working because they got a whole bunch of sludge in there. But Yeah, with the Hyundai, I want you to know that their selling point is that they're a little bit more luxurious interior. They're powerful, they're zippy, and while the gas mileage and the reliability might suffer, you might be able to live with that for a little bit more nice, luxurious of a car. So the Sonata made my list. If I had $10,000 to spend on a car that was going to last me 10 years, I wouldn't buy the Sonata. Now, my next car, it also kind of is a little bit of a controversial one because I know I'm looking at reliable cars for under $10,000 with low miles on them. You can easily buy this next car for under $10,000, under 100,000 miles. And again, that really depends on where the market goes here in the future. Now, people know this car for being extremely reliable, at least that's what the experts say, that's what I have quoted here, but it is a very popular car that's on the road. It also, compared to other brands like Hyundai, for example, maintenance and repair costs are pretty low. That's because it's domestically made, and that is the 2013 to 2016 Chevrolet Malibu. I'm sure a lot of you cringe when I say Chevrolet, but the Malibu is really good. You just want to avoid the 2008 to 2012 Malibus because of the drivetrain that was in those ones, especially the 2010 ones. So, something to note if you are looking at a Chevy Malibu and you want a V6, something that's more peppy, well, they quit making the V6 in 2012, which essentially fixed all the reliability issues with the Malibu. So don't buy anything older than 2012, 2008, somewhere in that range. If you're going to do that, go way older, or try to stay above 2012 with the Malibu. Of course, it has a 5 out of 5 star safety rating like all the rest of the sedans on this list, and personally I think even being an inline 4, it could do a lot better on gas mileage with that car, but you won't be disappointed with that car. So besides the gas mileage. Now, if you want a Chevrolet product, but you don't want it to constantly be emptying your wallet while you're driving around, the 13 to 16 Cruze is a great option. Just know that it is a compact car and that it also does not come with a V6. However, this car is super similar to the Honda Civic or the Toyota Corolla. It's a really good budget option. It requires very low maintenance, very little repair because it's so reliable. Most of the 13 to 16 Chevy Cruzes average well over 250,000 miles. But with all of that said, this is still the least reliable car that's on my list out of all of these. And I can see you guys typing away in the comment, but you said Hyundai. It's probably pretty comparable to that of a Hyundai in terms of reliability. And you should avoid the 2011 model year of the Chevy Cruze. Everything else, you could get something that's like well under 100,000 miles for under $10,000, especially if you're shopping in the Utah market. And overall, while the Cruze doesn't like strike me as amazing gas mileage, you're still gonna look in the 30s on that, especially if you get the diesel option. Now, there's gonna be some controversy on here about my last two options, the last two cars that I have selected personally that I would buy if I had $10,000 to spend. These ones I would actually buy. It's probably my favorite two cars that are on here. And I'm going to say that they're super reliable, and some of you guys are going to type nasty comments towards me, but I'm going to call this one the German Toyota Camry, our 2013 to 2017 Volkswagen Jetta. This is kind of their compact version, but it is about the size of a Camry. And I'm also going to include on here the Volkswagen Passat in between the model years of 13 and 15. If you want a Passat, it's a little bit bigger and more luxurious of a sedan, but you're not going to be able to afford anything more than 2015 if you have a $10,000 budget. Whereas with the Jetta, you might be able to find a nice 2017 within your budget. The Volkswagens can be exceptionally reliable cars, but they do require quite a bit more maintenance and preventative maintenance than the others. Also, you have to know that if something's going to break on these cars, it's going to be more expensive to fix because it's Volkswagen, Audi, and some of those parts have to come from Germany or can be hard to find. But the thing that you get with the Volkswagens that you don't get with any of these other ones is an extremely comfortable riding and driving car, like the lap of luxury, all the bells and whistles that are actually like pretty reliably built into the car. And you get a wide range of drivetrain options, both in engine and transmission. My particular favorite is that they have the inline 4-cylinder diesel. It's a 2.0 liter, they call it the TDI, and with proper maintenance, those diesel motors will literally go well over 300,000 miles, which I absolutely love. And I would love to own one if I could find one nice. They hardly ever break down. If they do, of course, diesels are way more costly to repair, but they will average over 45 miles to the gallon on the highway. So if you're looking at a Jetta and if diesel doesn't scare you, I would highly recommend the 2.0 diesel. You could easily get one of them for under 100,000 miles at almost right at your $10,000 price range. Now, some of their gas cars you might be able to get pretty cheap with a little bit more miles. For example, at 115,000, 17,000 miles on here, I'm seeing several in between the price range of $5,500 to $8,000. And with some of the more desirable engines and whatnot, you're going to be right at your $10,000 price range and pretty close to or under $120,000. Now, the Passat, I also highly recommend. It's definitely the most premium car in this video on my whole list, yet it still meets super high reliability standards, and it comes with the 2.0 TDI diesel in it as well. And same with the Jetta, everything can be more expensive to fix on them, but honestly, if you take care of them, they'll last forever. And like I said, with that TDI diesel, you're looking at over 35 miles to the gallon, around 40 miles to the gallon. Even in the Passat, which is a huge car, very comparable to the Nissan Altima. So I'm not biased towards any cars here, but if you are a car guy, your mind automatically zones in on the Honda Accord or the Jetta TDI or the Passat, because that's kind of how our minds work. Now, the Passat and the Jetta are not the only ones to offer a diesel option. The Chevrolet Cruze also offers a diesel option, which is kind of, unfortunately, really hard to come by. I really wish they would offer more small motor diesel cars in the US like they do in other countries. For some reason, we have such a misconception about diesel in the US. It is way cleaner burning than gas, and because of the power that it puts out and the low-end torque, it is so much more efficient to run. But if you're not familiar with diesel, if it scares you, if you can't, if it scares you to work on anything with it, or if you live in a really cold climate, you might just want to avoid it altogether. All right, and with all of that said, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up and end our video there. But go ahead, drop a comment below and tell me what your favorite car from this list is. What would you buy if you have $10,000 to spend on a car? Also, try not to get too upset at me, because I know some of you out there have, you know, a Nissan Altima and it's been so terrible and so unreliable for you that you've hated that car. And, you know, go ahead and tell me about it in a comment below. Or maybe you have a car that's notoriously unreliable out there, you know, it's like the Ford Pinto or something, and you want to tell me how it hasn't broken down in the last 100,000 miles. Go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' input. And as always, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, you guys are awesome. And I hope to catch you in the next video. So get out, enjoy your automotive ownership, and I'll see you in the next one.